Bonjour, mon ami, and welcome back to Advancing with Watercolor. I'm Gary Tucker, and this week I'm going to be leading you through the streets of Paris. We're going to be looking at a rainy day in Paris and developing a tonal study. We are going to be building on last week's exercise of edges, where we painted a pedestrian and an umbrella and their pet dog walking through the rain. We used a variety of edges. This week we're going to bring those edges to our tonal study and develop a painting of the streets of Paris. Have a look below where you can find a link in the description that leads to a free PDF file providing more information on this subject. Okay, as you can see, I'm laying out my drawing here, and I'm going to point out a couple things that I'm mindful of. One is my center of interest. I think you've heard me talk a lot about that as being an important feature, and it's not a bad place to start. You know, if you're wondering where do I start my work, how can I start, where should I start? This center of interest is a good idea. And so my center of interest is going to be this person walking through with an umbrella, little dog, reflections. I have some other figures, of course. We're showing lots of figures in this series, and today's no different. I want to show a pair of lovers here in the rain with maybe an umbrella, big umbrella here, a couple distant figures, smaller in the distance. Oh yes, a little dog too. And some cars on the street. So things I want to point out are, we're on level ground, so the heads of my figures are going to line up basically a little bit above the height of the cars. The cars are, the edge of the sidewalk is running towards the back, and it is moving at an angle here, which denotes the perspective. And this line here represents more the shadow that we see from some of the overhead awnings, which are coming off the building in different places. Right? And so we do have a bit of sidewalk coming over here as well. So a number of figures, my center of interest, things that line the street, cars, for example, and awnings in the back. These are distant buildings, but they have some beautiful awnings coming out, and I want to show those awnings if I can. I'm going to just show them as bright shapes. I think for most of them, and other lines of perspective include this building on this side, where the lines grow sharper as they rise, more dramatic as they rise. This gives us a feeling that we're looking down a narrow venue. As they come lower, a little flatter, windows will follow those lines. Here we're on sort of a cul-de-sac or a street that has a finish here, and these lines in the back that denote lines for windows, rooftops. Interesting little mansard roof here that I like a lot. This is typical of Paris, where you see this up and down quality in the rooftops. It's just fascinating visually. So these lines are creating the feeling that we're looking down a street, that we're standing on level ground facing our subject, sort of that we're within the painting. We feel like we're part of the crowd. And then these lines are even steeper, and a lot of them it's on such a narrow facade that many of them won't be seen. I do want to refer to the public lighting, and I feel I can do it best. I'll put it in two places. We have this wrought iron fixture that holds the little lantern light. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put a smaller one in the distance. That might be sticking out a little too far. Let's bring it in a little. Kind of comes right off the building. Put one right here, coming off the building. And this little curlicue. Oh. Let's draw the lantern first. I think it's going to look good here. That's basically how I answer any question that I have to myself, like where should it go? Well, wherever it looks good. That's a great answer. Where does it look good? It's not always where is it in the photograph. Where does it look good? Maybe we don't include it at all. And yes, my building is right about here. So this lantern just sneaks out from that. And we'll have a second one, smaller one down here. So repeating the awnings, repeating the public lighting. And this is good enough to get started. I mean, this is sort of my walkthrough. I like to do a tonal study just to warm up. And I'm thinking basically of using the white of the paper, a mid-tone through most of this, and a dark element through here, through the cars, through the figures and reflections. And everything in the background is sort of soft. I'm just going to be using neutral tint for this exercise. You can use black, you can use Payne's gray, sepia, whatever you like. I'm using neutral tint. And I'm just mixing up a puddle. I'm not going to do anything in the sky. I'm just going to start in the buildings themselves and start to place some washes here. Kind of lighter washes, a lot of water, and start to catch the tops of these buildings. Keep my spray bottle handy, since I want to kind of provoke this watercolor as I go. Come to the back building, more of the same. Just continue this wash straight across. That's what I'm thinking to do here. Almost like we're painting that solitary shape as we did when we painted Sarlat. I can cover things back here because I know I'm going to eventually add darker values to elements in front. I just want to, if I can lighten this a little bit, can I? Maybe not. Anyway, what I'd like to do is have a little darker passage, you know, coming down in a wet fashion, not too contrasty. Just going to pick a little of this up before it takes off on me. Yeah, just a little wet on wet. And I'm going to take my smaller brush, with a smaller sablette, start to create the awnings. Which naturally kind of narrow as they move towards the back. They're getting skinnier. We'll put one right under here. Little skinny awning. It sort of denotes that distant building. And I'm going to continue down the right-hand side here. I don't know where this splash came from, but I'm going to continue down the right-hand side, sort of picking up the pattern of windshields. I'm going to leave a lot of them unpainted at the moment. Another pattern. So, for example, this is about the level of our car. We'll just make a few sort of random shaped windows there that hit the rooftops of these cars, the back of this car. Let's get this major car sort of placed. This car in front. We're going to define everything at this moment by sort of windshields. The back windows. So we're really going very simply with the cars. Just a pattern. That's all I'm thinking about is a pattern. And I'm going to add a little color to that as well while it's wet. I think I'll just bring some down here. Now this was a mistake. I see it. And I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to try and spend too much time adjusting it. I just want to get these darker elements in place first. A little bit under the car. A bit under the car. Under the car. This. And what I'll do now is just take water here. Start at the bottom. And I'll take care of this little mark. It won't completely be eliminated. It's okay. It's a rainy day. We expect drips and drabs here and there. But I carry this light watery wash up here, leaving some white here and there. And I create a little bit of a grade to it, a little bit of a graded quality. That means I get just a little darker down here. And let's reflect some of this car here. Close off this corner. Like that. So we have buildings coming down to awnings, coming down to cars, and our sidewalk now starting to come through. I'm going to soften this edge just a bit. And now we can start to come up the left-hand side. So we're sort of surrounding our subject, aren't we? Using a mid-tone to do that. All right, so this building 2 is a little paler up on top and getting a little darker as it comes down. Let's handle this very simply. Just start with some water, dirty water up above and right down. We'll leave some gaps here. Maybe we'll put some windows in, meeting that building, coming right to the umbrella of the near figure, under the umbrella, right down to the sidewalk. And I'm going to put some reflections here. So I'm placing water first, and then I'm coming back to the neutral tint. And carrying it up to the bottom. But I want to get a soft edge here, so that's why I'm going a little darker into a wet area. I don't even know why I'm avoiding that umbrella. It's going to be dark. I'm going to make it darker. So we've kind of set the stage here, the stage for our subject, which is going to kind of focus on this area here. We're going to include some stronger darks there. I want to keep it pale back here. Well, this side has already dried, so I'm going to spend a little time, buy some time actually, for this side to dry so I can come back with dry brush and start to work on the windows here and moldings. We see a little line of the rooftops, so let's paint that. Just a little dry brush, little dry brush, little dry brush here. And we'll do some pale dry brush. Like this. Let the brush kind of dance on the paper. Some of the moldings that denote the perspective. Windows, rather tall. I see lots of windows. I'm going to do a few. These are important strokes. One, they help us to, again, denote perspective. And they allow us to kind of create a complicated area with some simplicity. Mine look sort of like number ones, don't they? Maybe that's a good idea to keep as you're making these. Maybe a little rougher, drier down here. Take out some of the paint. That looks pretty good. Let's bring some detail under the awnings, little dark area. Make those awnings pop a little bit, at least as it comes closer to us. And that we'll kind of use to divide the cars. Again, focused on those windshield shapes, which are basically rectangles. A lot of repeated elements in this painting. In fact, with a lot of urban landscapes, we see these elements repeated a lot. I'm going to make this awning a little skinnier. Gives a little more feeling of depth. More moldings to the back. Maybe the same lines, just kind of extended in this fashion. You can also break up the buildings and make different levels. It's best not to get too involved with detail. That's one little recommendation I can make, is we observe it, but in the background it's healthier for the painting, or makes more sense for our painting if we minimize that. Put some strong windows back here. Something like that. All good practice. Puts us in a mood, in the frame of mind to create a rainy day in Paris. Okay. Still a little damp. It's okay up here. I'm going to start up here, I think. Maybe we'll start with some of the windows that we might see. It's going to be pretty abstract there. Beautiful little piece of ironwork here. So I'm slowing down a little bit to show that. Now I want to do some work in the awnings coming off. Start with a sort of bolder dark. Here's one of those strokes that I like to make. An awning. And some stuff has happened there naturally that I like it. So I'm going to leave it. It looks like the atmosphere, the humidity has broken it up. We'll put some of the supports. And we have another awning down here. I want to take care of this first though. Join it to the side of the building a little bit and create some feeling of perspective. Not too dark. Dark, but not too dark. Right, let's continue. Smaller brush again. A little different angle. Same idea. It's a little too dark. Just making a little awning. Once again, the shape is important. Getting that angle and a feeling like it's sagging or a little broken, like we did here. Well, Paris is an older city, so one more. Another awning. Good, good, good. Let's do these figures here, our lovers. And I can kind of see. Remember, we start with the torso. State that again. Painting them as silhouettes. And these are sort of supporting figures. They're not the main figure. So we don't need a lot of detail. Even though they're larger, they're very much on the periphery, so they're not going to take the same amount of attention. And I want to put the little umbrella there. Okay, we still have our stage here. So let's bring in now our main figure. We'll go a little darker. And I see this is the umbrella here. Start with just a a little bit lighter. So the umbrella is kind of riding behind our figure. We'll bring that to life momentarily. For now, just a feeling like figure is attached to the umbrella. That's what I want. And a little darker, we have some, a little lighter, I'm adding water to these figures in the background. Just a couple smaller figures. And let's add some reflections. Reflections, basically straight down. Like this. And here too, but I'm not going to make them as long or as dramatic. You'll see why. Just like that. I might even put one more back here. I want to put my dog right here. So I'm leaving a little space for the creature. This is the advantage of not trying to follow figures too much. You can really organize them based on how you want to use them. So right now that this dark image is very strong against the white of the area. Almost, I think it's a little too dark. So I'm going to bring some of those darks into different parts of the figure here, different parts of the painting. Extend it outward, as it were. I do want there to be a nice feeling of the focal point, yes, but I don't want it to be too isolated, just sitting there like an island. So that's why I'm kind of extending in the manner that you see now. Looking at the wheels, the undercarriage, and these three cars. You know, if we see one car with clarity, we automatically assume that the rest of these are the same, a car. So we don't have to paint the detail in each car. I think if we paint the detail in this major car, this car that's forward, we're going to be fine. We're going to have enough. So that's what I'm doing here, kind of painting that, the major car. And it's not competing with my subject. It's actually kind of supporting the subject. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's support it a little more with some stronger color here. little reflection. Even a little reflection from those cars. Yeah, something like that. Starting to come out. I'm going to go a little darker in my figure here as this dries. Head about here. Je t'aime, je t'aime. I don't even know if we need the umbrella. It's quite enough to see them in that pose. But an umbrella does say rain. So we put it. We're too far away. They need to be a little closer. There. All right, do we need to do, I'm going to blur some of this back here, just a little dry brush. And a little dry brush through here too. Little lines, rough lines. What I want to catch is the feeling of pavers. Let's put our doggy in. And we'll just start with the blob. It's a mutt, so we don't have to be, it's a small dog though. An apartment-sized dog. Yep, and like a leg or two. Well fed. Yep. Reflection as well. Tail. Happy. Looking over at the lovers. What's going on there? Okay. Maybe a little darker. This is how we kind of camouflage some areas, make them a little more subtle. But look at how the darks now are kind of joined in a pleasing way. I'll leave a little gap there between arm and hand. Creates a feeling of animation. Some more dry brush. This dry brush kind of gives a sparkle to the paper, and I like the line, the quality of the line it leaves, so I really use it a lot. Last, what I want to do, I forgot one of the lights down here. In the distance, small light, kind of lining up with this one. All fun. This area is a little too punchy, so I take some water, just kind of blur this a little bit. Lift a little of the darkness out or soften some edges. Another way would be to add a stronger dark below, which is always a possibility. Okay, let's put in some pavers. Put a little line across here, broken line. I think this is especially nice touch on a rainy day. The pavers kind of sparkle or create a texture in the reflections. And we can draw straight lines, or we can draw these sorts of broken lines too, just like we did in Sarlat. Remember, they get narrow as they recede, bigger, wider as they come forward.